So in this video today, we're going to go over the 45, 45, 90 triangle and the properties of it. So today's objective is solving for missing sides in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So first of all, we're going to talk about the theorem of how we solve these, okay? So there's a couple things I want you to notice about a 45, 45, 90 triangle. First of all, that the angles are congruent and that the sides that are opposite those angles are congruent, okay? So we put tick marks on those to indicate that. So that's why it says AC is equal to BC, which is equal to the leg. And then it says AB, which is our hypotenuse. So this is our hypotenuse, is equal to L times the square root of 2. So the formula, the one and only formula you need to remember for a 45, 45, 90 triangle is the hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. And we're going to use that over and over today. So in example 1, it says find the value of x. Give your answer in simplest radical form. For the first thing I noticed that we have a 45-degree angle down here, and it's a right triangle. So that means this angle up here has to be 45 degrees. Obviously, these two angles are congruent, right? So because of that, we know that the sides are congruent, that are opposite those angles, okay? So that means that this down here also is 8. And the hypotenuse is opposite that right angle, right? So that's our hypotenuse, and that's going to be h, okay? So now, we're going to say that also that this is a leg, and that's equal to 8, and this is equal to 8. So our leg is equal to 8, and our hypotenuse is equal to x. Our one and only formula, again, is h equals L times the square root of 2. We're going to write that over and over again today, just so you guys can memorize how or what the formula is, okay? So now we're just going to populate that formula. So substitute the x in for the h. We're going to substitute the 8 in for the L. So that's our answer right there. X equals 8 square root of 2. So on this one on the right, again, we're going to do the same process. Notice down here we had a 45-degree angle on the right, bottom right. So this has also got to be a 45-degree angle, which means, again, that these angles are congruent. Thus, the sides opposite them are congruent. So this is 6, and this is equal to L, and this is equal to L, and then this is obviously h, right? So we're going to then say our L is equal to 6. Our h is equal to x. We're going to write our formula again. H is equal to L square root of 2. So we're going to substitute in the x for the h, the 6 for the L, and there's our answer again. X is equal to 6 square root of 2. So our next example, example 2, says find the value of x. Give your answer in simplest radical form. So again, we notice again that we have two congruent sides. That means we know this has to be a 45, 45 degree, 45, 45, 90 triangle. Those angles would be congruent, right? Then that means that this is a leg and this is a leg. And remember again, the side opposite the right angle is our hypotenuse, right? So L again is equal to x and h is equal to 5. Okay, so we're going to write our formula again. H is equal to L square root of 2. Now we're populating our formula, so this time we got a 5 over here and an x where the times the square root of 2. Now to get the x by itself, we would have to divide both sides by that square root of 2, right? So that's going to give us x is equal to 5 over the square root of 2. Now, if you didn't know this before, I'm going to tell you now, you can never have a radical in the denominator. So we're going to get rid of that radical in the denominator by multiplying by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. Knowing that anything over itself is 1, right? So that's going to give us x is equal to, now, this is going to be 5 square root of 2 over, when we multiply these, they go back under the radical, so that's going to be the square root of 4. So what is the square root of 4? It's 2, right? So the answer is going to be 5 square root of 2 over 2, okay? All right, so our next one, notice again, this time we can see that the sides are congruent. So that means obviously if this is x down here, then this has got to be x over here, right? So once again, I know because the sides are congruent that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? Those angles are congruent, okay? So we're going to label again. So this is our legs, right? Leg and leg. And this is our hypotenuse. So the leg is equal to our x this time, and the hypotenuse is equal to 16. So our formula again is h is equal to L square root of 2. So we're going to populate that. So our h again is 16 this time, and this is x square root of 2. Now remember, we got to divide both sides by that square root of 2. So that's going to give us x equals 16 over the square root of 2. Told you guys before that we can't have a radical in the denominator. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. Okay? Because remember, anything over itself is 1. So this is going to give us with 16 square root of 2. Remember again that times square root of 2 times square root of 2 is going to be square root of 4, right? And what was the square root of 4? Yep, you're right, 2. 16 square root of 2 over 2. Now, hopefully you notice that this right here can be reduced, right? What is 16 divided by 2? 8, right? So the answer to this one is 8 square root of 2. So example 3 says find the value of x. Give your answer in simplest radical form again. So we're going to label again, noticing that our angles are congruent. That means that this has got to be a 45 and this has got to be a 45. And that these sides have to be congruent, right? So notice that this is going to be our L. L equals, okay, pen. L equals, okay, and then this is going to be our H. So again, L is equal to 10 square root of 2, H is equal to X. So our formula is H equals L square root of 2. So now we're going to put X here, and we're going to put our 10 square root of 2 times our square root of 2. Now we've already done this, so you guys should be able to see that pretty easily. So that's going to be X equals 10 times the square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2, right? So x is equal to 10 times 2. So x is equal to 20. Okay? So keep our labeling process going here. These angles are congruent, so those sides are congruent. That means a is going to be equal to 2 square root of 2. So we've already solved for a. And this is our h. We know that this is our L, right? So L is equal to 2 square root of 2. H is equal to b. So we're going to say b is equal to 2 square root of 2 times, again, the square root of 2. So b is going to be equal to 2 times the square root of 4. b is equal to 2 times 2. So b is equal to 4. So this is your first try. See if you guys can do this and come back to me when you're done. So you should immediately see that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? Because one of the angles is 45 and it's a right triangle. The other one has to be. So these sides are congruent. So we know that b is equal to 8, right? And then a is equal to h here. So we're going to say our L, which is our 8, that's our side, right? That's still also L. And our h is equal to a. Okay, so we're going to say a is equal to 8 square root of 2, right? Because our formula is what? H equals L square root of 2, okay? So we have our A and we have our B. So A is equal to 8 square root of 2, so it's not that one, it's not that one. And our B was equal to 8, so it's not that one, so it's got to be B, okay? All right, this next you try, go ahead and do it and come back to me when you're done. Hopefully you've seen again that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? Which means both these sides are congruent, so this would also be X down here. And so this is equal to our L, and this is equal to our H. So L is equal to X, H is equal to 9. Our formula is H is equal to L, square root of 2, jumping ahead. L, come on, pen. L square root of 2. So we're going to populate that formula. 9 is equal to X square root of 2. Do you remember what to do here? Got to divide both sides by the square root of 2. So x is equal to 9 over the square root of 2. Can't have a radical in the denominator though, right? So you've got to multiply this by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. So it's going to give us x is equal to 9 square root of 2. Remember, this is multiplied, so that's going to be the square root of 4. So that means our answer actually is going to be 9 square root of 2 over 2. Here's another you try. Go ahead and do this one. Come back to me when you're done. So again, notice it said 45 up there, so we're going to put another 45 right here, which again means these two angles are congruent, okay? Which means these two sides are congruent. That means this y has got to be the square root of 3, right? And that's also our L, right? And this is our h. So L is going to be equal to the square root of 3. H is going to be equal to x this time. So our formula again is h equals L square root of 2. So that means x is equal to the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. And you just put those right back underneath that radical. So that's going to be the square root of 6. So let's see. Our x is square root of 6, so it can't be a, it can't be b. And our y was the square root of 3, so it can't be that one, so our answer here is C. So our next problem is a word problem. It says Jana's cutting a square of material from a tablecloth. Okay, so that's keyword there, square. The table's diagonal is 36 inches. She wants the diagonal of the tablecloth to be an extra 10 inches. So that means 36 plus 10. So that's going to be 46 is what the diagonal is going to be, right? That's actually going to end up being our hypotenuse. Let me show you why. So here's our square, right? And our diagonal would be like that, right? So that's our 46 inches right there, okay? And that's going to be our hypotenuse, yes? So then we're going to find the leg, because it's asking us what size square should Jana cut to make the tablecloth. And how do we know it's a square? Because all the sides in a square are same, right? So that would mean it'd have to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle, okay? So, again, we want to solve, so we don't know what L is, so we're just going to leave L as it is, and then we're going to say that H is equal to L square root of 2, right? So that's 46 is equal to L square root of 2. So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2 here. And you're just going to do this in the calculator just like it is. Now, if you have a TI 30, then you want to do the square root of 2, get that as a number, and then multiply that by 46, okay? So 46 divided by the square root of 2 is actually 32.5. So this is approximately 32.5, and it says round to the nearest inch. So that means that this is going to be 32 inches by 33 inches, by 33 inches. All right, example 5 says Ryan took up sailing. His sailboat is his sail for his boat is 45, 45, 90, right triangle. The base of the sail is 6 feet long. So that means this is 6 feet there, and it's a 45, 45, 90. That means that's congruent. These are 45 and 45, and that would be 90, right? So what would the height be? Well, obviously that would be 6 feet. So the height is 6 feet. And then it says, what would the length of the hypotenuse be? So we're looking for H here, right? So H is equal to L square root of 2. And our length, our leg, is 6 foot, right? So we're going to say H is equal to 6 times the square root of 2, right? So that means the height is going to be, when I did this, I got 8.49. So we're just going to say it's approximately 8.5 feet, the hypotenuse, okay? Now here's our U-try. Go ahead and do this one and come back to me when you're done. It says Laura and Rose are creating an art project in the shape of a right triangle. They have a 92 centimeter long piece, which will be used for the hypotenuse. And then 2 legs of the triangle support of equal length. So that means, obviously, this is going to be our 45, 45, 90, right? Because these are going to be of equal length. It's going to be a right triangle here, and this is going to be 92 centimeters, okay? So it's asking us approximately how much more centimeters of wood would they need to complete the support. So that means we got to solve for these legs, right? So we're going to use our formula. Hypotenuse equals L square root of 2. We have the hypotenuse because that's what this is. So we're going to say 92 is equal to L square root of 2. So once again, we're going to divide both by the square root of 2. And again, you're going to do this right in your calculator. So one leg is 65 centimeters, okay? So if one leg's 65 centimeters and we need enough wood for both, it would be 65 times 2, so we would need 130 centimeters of wood.